Random House Audio presents Jesus of Nazareth, The Infancy Narratives, by Pope Benedict XVI, Joseph Ratzinger. Translated by Philip J. Whitmore. Read for you by Dan Woren. Forward. This short book on Jesus' infancy narratives, which I have been promising to write for some time, is at last ready to be presented to the reader. It is not a third volume, but a kind of small antechamber to the two earlier volumes on the figure and the message of Jesus of Nazareth. I have set out here, in dialogue with exegetes past and present, to interpret what Matthew and Luke say about Jesus' infancy at the beginning of their Gospels. I am convinced that good exegesis involves two stages. Firstly, one has to ask what the respective authors intended to convey through their text in their own day, the historical component of exegesis. But it is not sufficient to leave the text in the past and thus relegate it to history. The second question posed by good exegesis must be, is what I read here true? Does it concern me? If so, how? With a text like the Bible, whose ultimate and fundamental author, according to our faith, is God Himself, the question regarding the here and now of things past is undeniably included in the task of exegesis. The seriousness of the historical quest is in no way diminished by this. On the contrary, it is enhanced. In this sense, I have taken pains to enter into dialogue with the texts. In so doing, I have been conscious that this conversation, drawing in the past, the present, and the future, can never come to an end, and that every exegesis must fall short of the magnitude of the biblical text. My hope is that this short book, despite its limitations, will be able to help many people on their path toward and alongside Jesus. Castel Gandolfo, on the solemnity of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, 15 August 2012. Joseph Ratzinger, Benedict XVI. Chapter 1. Where are you from? John 19:9. The question about Jesus' origin as a question about being and mission. While he was interrogating Jesus, Pilate unexpectedly put this question to the accused: Where are you from? Jesus' accusers had called for him to receive the death penalty by dramatically declaring that this Jesus had made himself the Son of God, a capital offense under the law. The enlightened Roman judge, who had already expressed skepticism regarding the question of truth, cross-reference John 18:38, could easily have found this claim by the accused laughable. And yet he was frightened. The accused had indicated that he was a king, but that his kingdom was not of this world, John 18:36. And then he had alluded to a mysterious origin and purpose, saying, For this I was born, and for this I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. John 18:37. All this must have seemed like madness to the Roman judge, and yet he could not shake off the mysterious impression left by this man, so different from those he had met before who resisted Roman domination and fought for the restoration of the kingdom of Israel. The Roman judge asks where Jesus is from in order to understand who he really is and what he wants. The question about Jesus' provenance, as an inquiry after his deeper origin, and hence his true being, is also found in other key passages of St. John's Gospel, and it plays an equally important role in the Synoptic Gospels. For John, as for the Synoptics, it raises a singular paradox. On the one hand, counting against Jesus and his claim to a divine mission, is the fact that people knew exactly where he was from. He does not come from heaven, from the Father, from above, as he purports to, John 8:23. No. Is not this Jesus, whose father and mother we know? How does he now say, I have come down from heaven? John 6:42. The synoptics tell of a similar dispute that arose in the synagogue at Nazareth, Jesus' hometown. Jesus had expounded the words of sacred scripture, not in the customary manner, but by relating them to himself and his mission, with an authority that went beyond the bounds of all exegesis. Cross-reference Luke 4:21. The listeners were understandably shocked by this treatment of Scripture, by the claim that he himself was the inner point of reference and the key to exegesis of the sacred text. Shock led to denial. Is not this carpenter the son of Mary and the brother of James and Joses and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they took offense at him. Mark 6:3. They know perfectly well who Jesus is and where he comes from. He is one among others. He is one like us. His claim can only be presumption. Moreover, Nazareth was not associated with any such promise. John recounts that Philip said to Nathanael, We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. Nathanael's response is well known. Can anything good come out of Nazareth? John 1:45 and following. The ordinariness of Jesus, the provincial carpenter, seems not to conceal a mystery of any kind. His origin marks him out as one like any other. Yet the reverse argument is also adduced against Jesus' authority, as in the dispute with the man born blind after he received his sight. We know that God has spoken to Moses, but as for this man, Jesus, we do not know where he comes from. John 9:29. When Jesus preached in their synagogue, the people of Nazareth had said something rather similar, before dismissing him as someone well known to them and just like them. Where did this man get all this? What is the wisdom given to him? What mighty works are wrought by his hands? Mark 6:2. Here, too, the question, where is he from, arises, only to be dismissed straight away by the reference to his relatives. Jesus' provenance is both known and unknown, seemingly easy to establish, and yet not exhaustively. In Caesarea Philippi, Jesus will ask his disciples, Who do people say that I am? Who do you say that I am? Mark 8:27 and following. Who is Jesus? Where is he from? The two questions are inseparably linked. The four Gospels set out to answer these questions. They were written in order to supply an answer. Matthew opens his Gospel with Jesus' genealogy, because he wants to put the question of Jesus' provenance in the correct light from the very beginning. The genealogy serves as a kind of heading to the entire Gospel. Luke, on the other hand, places Jesus' genealogy at the beginning of his public ministry, as a kind of public presentation of Jesus, in order to answer the same question with a different emphasis, in anticipation of all that is about to unfold in the rest of the Gospel. Let us now try to understand more closely the essential purpose of the two genealogies. For Matthew, two names are of key significance if we are to understand Jesus' provenance: Abraham and David. The story of the promise begins with Abraham, following the dispersal of mankind after the building of the Tower of Babel. Abraham points ahead to what is yet to come. He is a wayfarer, not only from the land of his birth into the promised land, but also on the journey from the present into the future. His whole life points forward. It is a dynamic of walking along the path of what is to come. Thus, the letter to the Hebrews rightly presents him as a pilgrim of faith on the basis of the promise. He looked forward to the city, which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God. 11:10. For Abraham, the promise refers in the first instance to his descendants, but it also extends further. All the nations of the earth shall bless themselves by him. Genesis 18:18.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?